Jeff Rieger last night said something on the air. And in the last decade of Major League Baseball, 16 teams have started the season 4-0. Seems like a small number, but only 16 teams have started 4-0.
Okay.
Of those 16 teams, 50% made the playoffs. Do you care?
No.
Okay.
No, this is another one of these stats that means nothing. Oh, 50%. Okay. You know what that means? 50% didn't.
Right. But prior to the season.
Am I going to make the playoffs? Well, flip of the coin.
Well, let me ask you this. Prior to the season, did you think of the Tigers having like a 50% chance of making the playoffs? Did you think it was a flip of the coin who would win the division?
No, I would say it's probably more of a 60-40 or 55-45 type thing before the season began, yeah.
So now it's better than that.
You're not going to get me to bite on the odd stuff. I just don't care about the odd stuff.
Is this a math thing?
It's not a math thing. I think it's just ends up being a stupid thing because it is completely hypothetical. It's all it is.
Well,
it tells you, in the history, this is what happened. Okay, so in the history, the opposite has happened there too. So if you say that 70% of the teams have made the playoffs if they start off, let's say 5-0, right? Mm-hmm. I have no idea. I'm making a number up. Well, doesn't mean anything because it means that 30% don't. So you could look at that and say it's still either you do or you don't, but there's a percentage of some teams that have done it in the past. What does that have to do with this team? Nothing.
So it feels like when this kind of thing gets broken out in football, like 0-3 starts. If you're 0-2, teams that are 0-3 don't make the playoffs. It really does speak in football because you're talking about a greater percentage of the season. I can understand your hesitancy to say after 4 games. After 2 months, if they've like a first place team by 4 games, and the stat is 80% of the teams after 2 months that are 4 games or more have a lead make the playoffs, would that mean anything to you?
It's a little meatier. If you're looking at 80%, that's a pretty good percentage. So I would pay more attention to that, or I'd look at that and go, oh, this is trending in the right direction. But it's nothing I get excited about. It's like watching the game last week, okay? I think the Tigers, when they were playing the White Sox in the Saturday game, game 2, one point they got down like 6-4 or 6-3, whatever the score was. And they showed on the screen, the Tigers have a 17% chance of winning. I'm like, oh, well, I guess that bodes poorly. Even though there's 4 innings left to go. And then what happens? They end up winning the game. I don't care about the percentages.
Yeah, the percentages in small sample sizes aren't nearly as meaningful as they are in bigger sample sizes. Clearly. You get 2 months in and you got some percent chance to make the playoffs. That might actually move the needle. This is just fun for me. That I wouldn't have thought of them as a flip of the coin team to make the playoffs. But then again, if you look at the teams that typically start 4-0, they're all probably pretty good. They all probably were thought to be pretty good. They all probably went into the season thought of to being pretty good. They probably have better rosters than this Tiger team has. So does it have any real relevance on this season? Probably not. But I don't mind keep doing things that playoff teams do.
Well, sure. And I know people want to poo-poo who the Tigers have played and, the White Sox. The White Sox got their first win yesterday. They beat Atlanta.
I know, of all teams for them to beat, they beat Atlanta.
Okay, yeah. Did you see who pitched? Crochet pitched. Mm-hmm. Remember how well he pitched against the Tigers?
Yep.
He's a problem. He went 7 innings, gave up 3 hits and 1 run. I think 1 walk, and he struck out like 8. That guy is a hell of a pitcher. So he's got 13 innings pitched, I think, on the season, and he's given up 2 earned runs against 2 pretty good baseball teams.
All right,